Hi, I'm Bill Fritz, and thanks for checking out my companion piece to the ebook Magic Squares for the Mathematically Challenged, I being one of them. The idea of this screencast is to mainly serve as a highlight. It's not as detailed as the ebook. The ebook goes 20 pages long and is extremely detailed, but there's a reason for that. I think when you're learning a new method, if you understand the thinking that goes behind it, it becomes really easy to memorize what you need to memorize and to incorporate that method into your performance, which can change at any moment based on your spectators. So it's important to have a thorough understanding of what you're doing. So the ebook goes into great detail, but as I was looking through it, I thought, the idea isn't that difficult, and I didn't want to scare people off, so I thought I would show in highlight form through this screencast some of the methods as they actually apply in a real situation. So I did a challenge video, if you saw that just before this one, where we generated a target number, just like a spectator would generate a target number. And you can see how quickly you can come up with the key information that you need to create a magic square for that spectator's target number. This system only applies to a very specific methodology of magic square. As I detail in the ebook, there's lots of different ways to do a magic square. My favorite is what I call a foundation grid. It uses the first 16 numbers to create a magic square that totals 34. That's the lowest total you can have if you don't repeat numbers. What you do is you take the target number a spectator wants, figure out some key math numbers, and apply those numbers to this foundation grid to build a magic square that matches the spectator's target number. It's not a new method here. This has been done by Animan, it's been done by Lorraine and countless other mentalists to do magic squares. What I do think is a little unique is the way in which I've figured out how to take out some of the difficult math. And I wouldn't even say it's difficult math, but it's just math. Let's go through the math itself that you usually need to do. Let's say the spectator selects a target number of 71. You need to subtract 34, which is that foundation grid total, to get a difference of 37. Now, when you're doing this as a live performance in front of people with all eyes watching you, you need to do mental math. And so a lot of mental math experts will say subtract numbers you're familiar with. So it's suggested that you break down 34 into 30 and 4. So you'd say the target number is 71, you subtract 30, which is 41, and take out 4 more, which is 37. You end up with the difference of 37. You divide it by 4 because that's what you're doing is a 4 by 4 grid. You end up with 2 numbers. In the ebook I give them names so we can always refer to them in the same way. The first number is what I call the adjusting number, and then there's a remainder number. So it's the adjusting number or A number and the remainder number or the R number. In this case, when we do it with 37, we end up with a adjusting number of 9 with a remainder of 1. And the way you use that information is you go back to your foundation grid and you add the adjusting number to all 16 squares of this grid. The remainder number is only added to 4 key squares, the 4 highest squares. In this case, it's this one here, 13, 14, 15, and 16. So for the number 71, let's just do one row. We take 9, the adjusting number, and add it to 8, and that's 17. 9 plus 11 is 20. This is one of our key squares, so we add the adjusting number and the remainder, which is 9 plus 1 is 10. So 10 plus 14 is 24. And then 9 plus 1 is 10. If you go back down to the adjusted square, you end up with 17, 20, 24, and 10. You continue that for all 3 rows, and now this magic square equals a total of 71. So that's the math that I wanted to replace. It's not difficult math, but in the heat of a performance, I like to focus on the presentation, and I don't want to have to think through the math process. I want to make sure that I don't screw up, because occasionally under those conditions I do. I always want to make sure my math is 100% right. So the idea came to me of taking out the math and doing it ahead of time so I can guarantee that it's correct, and then figuring out some clever mental aids to remember key numbers so that I can quickly come up with the numbers I need. And again, if you saw the challenge I did, That's how quick it happens. It's a matter of 1 or 2 seconds, and you have those numbers pop into your head. So that's the system. Hope you enjoy the ebook, and we'll go through some of the steps that you need to take to get through it next.